ready? Are you ready? Ready, 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 ready. Hold your nose steady, hold your nose steady, hold your nose steady, and breathe from deep down in your heels. You know what you want, you've known it for a time now, and it isn't that crazy pipe dream in the sky, pipe dream in the sky, pipe dream in the sky. Coming home, that's what you want. Coming home is what you wanted all the while. Back to this place where you've always been free. Back to this place where you can't fail to see everybody and everything is one. Everybody and everything is one. Everybody and everything is one.
Well, I never. How lovely to be here with you. Here I am sitting in Ibiza in the Campo up in the north in a 300-year-old finca with 2-meter thick walls. And if you're hearing me at all, it's a miracle because nothing on this island works like it works anywhere else, and everything is rather random, unpredictable, and in the hand of what feels like this crazy goddess of the island who one feels one's dancing with constantly. And a phenomenon that I have noticed is, I mean, I lived here 4 years ago, and I've been back many times since, and it's not like I'm kind of I'm new to it or anything, but this energy that you feel in the ground here, that is like adrenaline pumping in the belly constantly, and there's no people around. From where I'm sitting, looking out over the Campo, down over the rolling hills to the sea about a mile away, maybe, a kilometre away. And there's hardly any houses. You can't really see any sign of human activity from where I am, and the energy is so strong, it's undeniable. So I went and did a little bit of socialising this afternoon at Saro, which is something I rarely do. I have done rarely lately anyway. And I just checked with people. Everyone feels it the same. When you go in the town, it levels out a bit. You don't feel it so much as the distraction of buildings and people and all the rest of it. But so it's quite subtle, but incredibly strong. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I think it's because I'm quite charged up by it. And there are many theories. It's to do with high magnetic activity in the magnetosphere around here, third highest in the world apparently. And it does something. It definitely does something. Welcome to the satsang. If you've never been before, welcome, and if you've been before, welcome. Satsang is an old Sanskrit word that means we sit together in our naked truth rather than sit together with our pretenses and games that we tend to instinctively, impulsively play, compulsively play in the social arena. We're able to afford ourselves the luxury and privilege of dropping all of that and being spirits, really, just consciousness, pure consciousness, sitting together all the way around the planet. And in every time zone, here we all are. It's just like angels in human bodies. And the wings, like you see massive heavy wings that you'd have to get you airborne. One attached to each shoulder blade, very heavy and pulling the shoulders down and broadening you out across the upper body to give you a broader sense of the story of life. You know, you widen the parameters by dropping the shoulders and broadening them out. By changing your posture, you change your psychoenergetic state, and so your view of reality shifts with it. This is one of the main factors of Taoism that separates it from many others. It's this highly developed method of shifting your consciousness, both in terms of quality and an expanse, which would include depth and height and breadth and all the rest of it, by shifting how you sit within your skin. And that's what we're going to be doing here fundamentally. These satsangs are generally termed magic. This is not in the sort of cheap sense. Not that there's anything cheap about conjuring. I mean, good conjurers are incredible people, and the amount of time they put into perfecting the tricks is astonishing. But in a way, the Tao the sort of original prime motivating force of all existence and non-existence, not that that has motivating in it, is like a magician. It's a great conjurer. It creates this incredible illusion, this illusion of a universe or multiverse, for all we know, from nothing, from absolutely nothing. There is nothing, and then bang, there is all of this. Now that is a beautiful trick. It's the best trick ever. I don't think anyone will ever top it. And presumably does so because what would you do if you were the one being sitting there for eternity? You've got to do something, haven't you? Unless you know, the part of you, the real you, I suppose, stays in the undifferentiated absolute state. The wu chip, the nothingness, nothing happens. And then there's this illusion of something happening, this huge dream the Tao is having. And it makes it real. It makes it just really convincing. It's not just screen effect. It is actually real life and death stuff and pain and all the rest of it. And it is everything. It is everyone. So it's you, it's me, it's everyone here, but with a different face on. And with that face, a different slant on the story. In fact, maybe, well, probably, in fact, definitely a different story, different versions of a story for sure. And the stories we tell ourselves are what determine totally how we experience what goes on, and actually then what goes on, because it shifts to match our experience in a way. I hope I'm not being too highfalutin and obscure here. I'll stick to the point. So magic is when we together enter that flow of the illusion making. We become one with the Tao. This isn't an intellectual conceit. This is a thing that happens when you shift backwards. Excuse me. I caught a cough on the plane. When you shift backwards inside your body, which we're going to do and I'll explain properly, you actually merge with what I call the background presence, that which is beneath and behind every phenomenon, every blade of grass, every volcano, every nightclub, every car driving along, every telephone call, everything. There's a presence behind it somehow, a sublime consciousness. Hang on. A swig of cough mixture. And the presence that is behind everything within the human experience is found by shifting backwards inside your skin, behind your side seams, as it were. Because in there, well, that's where the background presence is. That's the bit of you that just watches you going through your adventure. It's what Freud might call the super consciousness, that which sits above and observes, but it's really something I find behind. It's not I find, I get this totally from the old Taoist system. But by doing it, that's what this is all about. You try it and it changes your life. And this is what I've been doing, and it's definitely changed mine. So when I shift backwards, when you shift backwards, which we're going to do, you somehow viscerally merge with the Tao, not intellectually, viscerally, this prime force. And then you're at the core of the illusion making. You're with the conjuring trick. You're doing it, if you like. And when we come together in the satsang and we join our intentions to some degree, the effect of that magic is profound. It's exponentially increased by the amount of people that are here. It's a lot of magic. And the Taoists, the ancient Taoists, were fabled for their magic skills. That's what got me into the whole thing in the first place. As it happens, as a teenager going to Hong Kong to learn Taoist magic. And that in those days, the hippie days, that's all that was really known about Taoism. And it's often termed Wu Wei, which means, or Wu Wei Wu, which means, or is it Wei Wu Wei? That's what it was, Wei Wu Wei. Wu Wei Wu. And it doesn't really matter what it was called. But the fact is that it means that when you create an intention, and then, but you do it from the back of you do it from the fullness of your power, as one with the Tao, you create that intention, and it has to be clear. It can't be stupid. It's got to be broad enough to encompass everything that you're going to need, including all the contradictions that you can see in that happening. It has to be big enough to embrace the contradictions too. Then you let go and relax and follow the prompts from within, the energy that is, and you find yourself, before you know it, in that scenario. It always looks a little bit different from how you imagined, and it doesn't matter anyway because that's just the externals, but the experience that you're after will be yours. And that's how the magic works. The Taoist legend, because remember, this is thousands of years old and dates back probably, I'm pretty sure, to the civilization, probably even greater than ours, that existed without doubt before the last ice age. We find proof of this now. I'm not going to go into that. It's not just fantasy. And there's probably been great civilizations even before that one as well. So it's possible it was remnants of that, just as the pyramids in Egypt might have been. But the Taoist legend is that it came from who they called the Sons of Reflected Light, who were 7 feet tall or 3 meters high, and wore strange clothes, unusual clothes, and came from the high places, meaning the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, with apparently a refuel stop at Sirius along the way, because that's only 8 years away from here. And there's been more than one visitation according to the legend, and this is how acupuncture came about, and the wonders of Tai Chi, and all the different incredible methods that Taoism contains. You know, I don't know one way or the other. I like that story a lot. I couldn't say I believe, I don't care, really. It's fun, you know, it doesn't matter to me. Definitely what does matter is this stuff, and it's amazing stuff. It's mysterious. I don't know how it came about, but I'm glad it did. One of their techniques, they use light and colour amongst other things, and we've done a series before this one of the flashbulb blue light. That's usually linked with Sirius. The one we're doing in this series is the violet ray, and that is, it comes from, if the legend's true, or even if it just alludes to something that was true, it's older than the blue light technique, because the visitation from the Pleiades happened before, or maybe, who knows. And violet ray is credited with being able to instigate a quantum jump in any situation into which you shine it, into which you direct it. Of course, the skill is channeling the violet ray, and there are techniques for this, and we're going to, you know, like kind of visualization techniques to help it. Now, don't for a moment think I'm asking you to believe this. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just presenting views here, and you know, if it resonates, then great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. I'm not presenting it as absolute truth. I don't know if where they got this idea from. It might have just evolved naturally of itself. Who knows? Doesn't matter. I mean, we've all had insights. We don't know where they came from, so it could have just been that, all dressed up in a load of story. I don't know. But we're going to deploy these visualization techniques to channel the violet ray together. And specifically today, this is all about the continuum. Now, this is interesting because, yeah, like the Tao is infinite in its reach. So it manifests itself as all of this and goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And all of it, as far as you can go, is linked, informed by, held together by consciousness, primordial consciousness, the same stuff that you inherited as you took form in the womb. You didn't generate it yourself, you didn't create it. It was there for you to have. This consciousness, this miracle of consciousness, which includes a motile force behind it, a subtle motile force, which is energy, the essence of energy. Qi is called. So it's a psychoactive energy. Again, which you inherited as you were born, as you took root in the womb. You didn't create it yourself. It was there for you to inherit, and that's how you're here. That's your life force and your consciousness, and this goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. This consciousness, and it's a continuum, and each of us as expressions of the Tao. For want of, I call it Tao because that's what the Chinese call it. It's the thing I grew up working with. You can call it anything you like, it doesn't matter. There's nothing sacrosanct about the word, just so you know. The Tao expresses itself as each of us, and we are therefore nexuses of this consciousness and this energy, this Qi, this psychoactive Qi. Each of us are these nexuses, but we're not separated from each other. We're connected to each other. We're all in this continuum. And together, the whole thing throughout time and space comprises the clothes of the Tao, you know, the body of the Tao, the physicality, if you like, of the Tao. The Tao remains, though, in its latent state as the background presence, informing all of it. And how this is pertinent to us specifically in the human family right now, and why this is so apposite, I feel, to do today, is the yin-yang effect. So, okay, when the Tao manifests itself as a universe, inherent in the workings of it all is this yin-yang phenomenon, which is the ever-alternating dance between the negative and positive, exactly as happens in electrical current, because that is chi as well, in a cruder form. And therefore you have night turns to day and day to night, difficult turns to easy and easy to difficult, famine turns to abundance and back to famine and back to abundance, and you can go on and on and on. Everything is subject to the law of yin and yang. And I just completely forgot what I was talking about there. I got carried away in the yin and the yang. That's happened to me before, but it will come back. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Yes, I know what it is. So because we had this beautiful, beautiful expansion time, that's the yang, in the 90s, where the world became globally conscious, and there was a great tolerance and openness to all ways and paths and nations, and a great expansiveness occurring. And I remember it bang on the millennium night, it switched and when it started going the other way. And I could feel it, and it was a horrible feeling. And sure enough, look at where we are now. We've gone into an increasing time of contraction. And one of the symptoms of this, and I've noticed it wherever I go now, more and more signs of it, is less tolerance, less freedom of speech, less openness to other cultures, and you know, the immigration ticket is a big one. There was an argument between two Moroccan guys down in the town near here the other night in the street. Police came along. They were shouting at each other in Arabic, you know, it's their language. And police came along and just told them to move on, and ended the conversation with, yeah, and when you were here you taught Spanish. And I understand that. I get that as well. But that's the close down. It's the open up. You know, how exciting to have such a rich mix of people everywhere, albeit dangerous, we know that, but it's dangerous anyway. It's not going to make it less dangerous by closing off on each other. And, you know, and like small countries wanting to break away from bigger unions, and the EU wanting to break up. And it's this kind of this retrenching into what is trustable somehow, trustworthy. You know, it's not really. It's just like, because it's known, it's familiar. People become more and more wary of strangers and the rest of it. Now, I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying it's happening as I'm perceiving it. And it needs to, we need to kind of get involved if we have any desire for it to be an open place and a beautiful place, and to help the freedom that we've enjoyed, most rarely enjoyed, in the last 40, 50 years or so, 60 years, to have to continue. It's important we do our bit. And I'm not talking about going on demonstrations or anything external, but that's up to you if you want all that kind of stuff. But this is more about shifting it from the core for everyone's sake, getting the continuum to roll nice again, because people are starting to not play very pleasantly with each other. And it's like, we can affect that. We can inject the blessing of enlightenment and peace into the mix, and it might not sway it all one way to our favor, but it will certainly attenuate the crippling effects of the current trend. I'm very clued into what's going on in the world, because not only do I scour some very brilliant sites each day, because it's part of my work to know, but I also know a lot of people who know a lot of people in the core of it all, so I get to be clued in quite well. So if this all sounds a bit weird to you, it's not. This is just, you know, it's what's going on in the world, and it's important for us to share that, encourage us to be that, rather than to close down to the fear and the paranoia and the diminishing of the human spirit, because to me that's the major crime. And let's not forget, it is the silly season, when we become silly for something we respond to instinctively, don't really understand, and act in strange ways for it. Of course, I'm talking about Christmas, and which is predates Christianity by probably hundreds of thousands of years. For all we know. It's the solstice festival that started on the 21st of December, ended on the 26th. It was a 5-day blowout where all the clans congregated for the big one, and they brought all the meat they had left for the winter. There was, you know, it was going to run out or go off by then if they didn't, and share it, and share their ale or their mead or whatever they used to drink, and all their psychotropic mushrooms and whatever they used to take, and have a mad time of it. And the Romans took on Christianity, grafted that onto the thing, and that's why Christmas the 25th. That was the big one. That was where they built up to the finale of the feast. 26, which in Britain is called Boxing Day, was the final day, the recovery and leaving the campsite type thing. And that's why it's so wired into our systems. It's so ancient that even if we don't believe in Christmas and think it's nonsense or whatever it is that we're going through about it, we still feel compelled somehow or other to get involved or to avoid it or do whatever we have to do. And it does bring up a lot of powerful emotions for people, one of which is, of course, this need to belong, the need to belong. It's really important that we feel that we belong. And it's difficult because the clan, you could see easy to belong in a clan. That's basic, and it was real. You had to belong or you'd die. That's where it comes from. But then that gave way to an agrarian society, which gave way to the industrial society, and now the post-industrial society. And it took us from that kind of that's the natural sense of belonging to having to make do with, and then even that's broken down, and nobody really knows what to belong to anymore. And this is part of the closed-offness, this need to belong to little units of things, most of them complete myths, ultimately exist. It's only there's a story there with a logo or a flag or an anthem or a jingle or whatever else. You see, and also with the competitiveness for whatever resources there are increasing, people really have to feel they hold fast to what they have, and that's all that. And what we're trying to do here is override all these lesser ideas to belong to, because they're all sweet. You can belong to whatever you want, crew, whatever it is that you want to belong to. So it's all fine, but it's not the real thing. The only thing you can belong to on a material level really is the whole human family. Whether you start dividing it up is when trouble starts. It hurts your own heart when you start divorcing yourself from whole vast swathes of the human family. When you embrace the human family with all its flaws, just like all families have, it works better. It's when you feel ugly, it's everything becomes ugly. And we want not ugly, don't we? We want it beautiful. That's the intention for sure. Let it be beautiful. And then all breeds a certain superficiality, although it's a deeply etched superficiality that can easily be mistaken for depth, but it isn't. So you get this kind of false conviviality, this lack of genuine camaraderie, this, the faux emotional gestures, hi, and all that nonsense that people do. There's no real heartfelt connection. It's all surface, and becomes soulless after a while. And soulless, it's impossible to have a connection to the whole human family. Beyond that, to the all that is, the Tao, prime source generating this entire show, including all of us, is generating it, it's animating it, it's permeating it, all with the primordial consciousness and the motor force, this Chi. And so what our role is here is to somehow just transcend that altogether, that whole level, tune into the Tao, tune into the continuum, activate the love that connects us to all the other nexuses in the continuum, and you'll see that once you do that, we're going to use the violet rays to do that, you'll see that when you do that, it's actually impossible to feel. One of the biggest pitfalls of Christmas and getting ready for it is loneliness and the fear of loneliness. When you feel connected to the whole continuum, it's impossible to feel that sensation of loneliness. You feel alone. I love being alone myself. It's beautiful with your own company, your own dialogue with the Tao. It's the best there can be. The lonely feeling, that feeling of being disconnected, abandoned, banished, exiled, and all the rest of it, that cannot happen when you feel connected to the continuum. And I know that because I travel a lot. And, even though I've lived here and I know the place well, I just come back here and, people change, things change, I've changed, the mood changes, all the rest of it. It would have been so easy to succumb to feelings of loneliness, but it didn't happen because there's constant, every time I felt that, I don't know, that feeling you get, I just dropped back and felt the continuum, and it's just gone immediately. And interestingly, whenever you allow yourself to surrender to the continuum in love, and instead of being like succumbing to loneliness, that cut-off sensation, people suddenly start coming into your orbit and inviting you here and there and doing things and stuff. It's very interesting how it all works like that. You reset it internally, it resets externally. So we're going to reinstate our relationship with the continuum so that the continuum will actually feed and provide for us in return. So we belong to continuum, and that's all we can truly belong to. And all else is merely passing. No matter how old the tradition or the bond that you have with it, it's only passing. Even Christmas is passing. Even the tradition of it, even the solstice festival is passing. The only thing that is passing is a continuum. That goes on forever and ever. But this loneliness is intrinsic to the human condition. It's actually one of the devices that is used to create herd bonding. If we didn't have that lonely tendency, we wouldn't feel that urge to bond. And you can see how deep it is in everyone because of the way we compulsively kind of congregate in noisy bars or religious services or football matches or discotheque nightclubs and all whatever else. We'll bond for any excuse in usually very noisy surroundings or in surroundings where people are saying things that aren't in our usual kind of paradigm and do all kinds of very strange things just to be with each other, just to hang out because we somehow feel that need for contact. It's really, really, really deep. And it's especially so at the season of the silliness because this is when there is that tradition of us all coming together. It's in our genes to want to do that. And it might be not practical to come together with others for that time. It might be that you don't want to do all that. You can't bother with it all. It could be all sorts of things. It doesn't matter because by coming back into yourself, opening the heart and connecting with the continuum, you are already bonding. You're in it. You're in with everybody. You're with the whole human family in a celebration far bigger than anything human beings could make up, any kind of religious celebration, any of it. And really, it has to be acknowledged that all closing down that I've been very witness to, of course it might be projection on my part, me closing down, and I'm projecting it out, but it's not just that, if it is that at all. But nonetheless, it's still an illusion. The discrimination, or the division, or the demarcation between countries and races and sexes and all the rest of it, between rich and poor, and all of that stuff is ultimately totally illusory because we are actually all one in this continuum. We're all just playing our roles in this massive, endless continuum. Nexuses of light. We're like flowers in a garden, and by attuning to the nature, informing all flowers, as well as you and I, of course, Tao, as I'm calling it, the driving force of the continuum, the Qi, which is the Tao's expression, and by cognitively, willingly merging with it, as we're going to do, we retrieve the connection. And instantly, any sense of loneliness will dissolve. People are spontaneously drawn to be in our ambit, and we're immersed in a game again with all the human family, not to mention all the living beings everywhere. So as I say, the violet range uses miracles of quantum leaps, and we're going to use it to cleanse the field surrounding each of us and connecting us to the continuum. And we're going to cleanse it by a quantum leap, like one whoosh, and it will all be clean. Clean of the fear, the prejudice, and all the blocking that accrues in the front part of you. Everywhere forwards of the sightseeing is where you experience the drama of life, your descriptions of it, your appraisals of it, and your conversation about it, and the feelings you're having about it, and the sensory experience of it happening around you, all goes on in the front of your body, everywhere forwards of the side seat. Very noisy place in there. Back of you isn't, of course, it's still and silent. That's my better place to sit anyway. And so we're going to come into the back and cleanse the field in the front of all the blocks. And as a result, your place, our places in the game, will change for better by a quantum leap. And all sense of dissociation, dislocation, loneliness will be gone and never to return. So if you're feeling ready, hold your nose steady and breathe from deep down in your heels. You know what you want. You know while time down it isn't that crazy pipe dream. It's kind of coming home. That's what you want. Coming home is what you wanted all the while. Back to this place where you've always been free. Back to this place where you can't fail to see that everybody and everything is one. And with that thought in mind, close your eyes and drop everything. The connection to your familiar story of life. Just let it all go. Let your shoulders drop. Remember those angel wings. Let all the weight of your body drop. down, 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 through your sit bones, through the soles of your feet into the ground. Let yourself arrive full and solid here on earth, while the top part of your body is now free to be light and airy, clear, and to accentuate which. Imagine now that there was an angel being standing just above you and has attached a hook to the crown of your head. It doesn't hurt at all. And on the hook there is a thread, a silver thread, though it's invisible to the naked eye, by which this angel is gently yanking your crown upwards towards the ceiling, so that your spine elongates, your chin drops a little to your chest, and with your shoulders dropping at the same time, you're the weight of your body dropping through you. This is what counterbalance is all about. This is what stops you slumping. And then you have this lovely sense of dignity, which means literally upwards, afforded you by the length in the spine. You can afford to drop your shoulders more, afford to let them broaden. To support which you can allow your sit bones to slide away from each other. Let your hips broaden out a little bit, so you've got a broader base to experience all this from. And raise the breastbone without arching back. Just raise your breastbone a tiny bit, a millimetre or so. It's very subtle. And that gives your spirit. It's like rising up to all that is beautiful. And now you've expanded your mainframe, let all your muscles soften. Just give the command from the depths of your power and intelligence. Say, muscles of mine, soften now. And with an out-breath, like, just let all your muscles soften through your face, your neck, your throat, your chest, your arms, your back, your belly, your groin, your legs, your feet, your arms, your hands, your fingers, your toes. Every single part of you soften, all the way down to your bone marrow. Because life moves through softness rather than rigidity. And breathe slowly, freely, not holding the breath. Observe the belly rise as you breathe in, and observe the belly fall again as you breathe out. And as you breathe in, notice that you're taking in the very elixir of life with every breath, and be thankful for it. Have a sense of appreciation for this next bit of life. And as you breathe out, be aware that it is necessary to empty yourself in order to be receptive to the next breath, the next load of life that's coming in. So love the breath, and slow the breath down because you love it. Don't rush it. Don't rush the thing that you love. And let the breath be smooth. Let the breath be like silk being reeled from a cocoon. Let the breath be silent and soft. And you'll notice that as you soften the breathing like this, your mind softens too, and it slows down and becomes silken in its tone. So it's more enjoyable to be inside of. And with all this slow breathing, lovely breathing, beautiful breathing, force, not an effort, really lovely, lovely, lovely. You watch the belly rise, you breathe in, you watch the belly drop, you breathe out. And your weight is dropping all the way down into the left part of you constantly. Stop trying to draw it up there and keep it dropping. The spine is elongated, the shoulders are broad, the chest is raised, the hips are broad, and you're relaxed. You've got softness running through your whole body. Breathing all the while, you now have the choice of remaining in the noise in the front of you, stuck up in front there in the stalls watching the play, or you can come back into the royal circle in the back here and watch it like a governor, like actually enjoy the sensation of being in command of the spectacle, rather than being drawn into it. So here you are, you come back behind your side seams, lean into your shoulder blades, lean into the back of your spine, lean into your rear pelvic bones, sacrum. It's like leaning back into the throne. So just feel yourself do that. Lean into your throne back. There in your back. Be in there. And as for your mind, that busy thing, when it's in the front of the brain, where all those descriptions and stories are going on, that commentary, Taoists call it the monkey mind, because it never stops. It jumps from thing to thing, and it's rather daft. Trying to make sense of it all, but obviously it can't, because it's jumping around too fast. To tame the monkey mind, or in fact just let the monkey mind go, become the monkey mind tamer. And the monkey mind tamer sits in the back of the skull. So you can visualize your skull as a cave high up in the sacred mountains with a floor in it. And just very subtly, a fraction of a minute, tilted your head back as a gesture. And your mind is obliged to roll back the floor of the cave until it lands in the back of the cave, where it finds a beautiful pile of cushions to sit up against it, on and up against, and lean it back into the rear wall of the cave, which is the rear wall of your skull. Just sit back there really comfy like a Buddha, just like a mini you with a Buddha face on it. And just beautifully serene now, gazing into infinity through where the mouth of the cave would be, between the eyes and the lower part of the forehead there. Not for any reason, just because what is there more important to cast your gaze on them, infinity, nothing bigger than that. Meantime, down below, the presence of you, your presence, which would normally be distracted by the world of the 10,000 things that's perceived going on in front of you, is now drawn back into the kingly or queenly position, and leaning back into the throne inside the body. As you're breathing in, nostrils are relaxed, and your posture is expanded vertically and horizontally. And in this moment, being in the back of you, you are the background present, and all is well, you must admit. And you keep breathing, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to fear, everything is complete in this moment. Behind you, you have your past, you have your story. Be thankful for your story, everything that got you to this point, bearing in mind that that's all an interpretation of yours based on what camera angle and lighting schema you're using. But give thanks for your story that got you here. What a beautiful, amazing adventure, unlikely and plausible adventure it's been. And in another dimension, even behind that, there's the ancestors who are responsible for you being here. Without whom you wouldn't be here. Thank the ancestors, bless them all, stretching back a good 1.5 miles behind you, all pressed chest to back, as it were, in a large diamond shape as they go up from parents to grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great, and so on, until then they have to start coming back in again, till there's only a few, and maybe who knows, even to just 2 people. This massive diamond shape of ancestors, as it were, is behind you, again, as it were, in another dimension. Give thanks to them, bless them all, for you being here. And now we come to the front of you. In the front of you, there is your chest, as you know, comprised of a breastplate, that bone that sticks over the front of your chest to protect your heart, lungs, and what have you. And the heart center, which is the very center of the chest, behind all of that, is the energetic, psycho-energetic area that processes your capacity to love and be beautiful and appreciate beauty and all the divine human qualities, all the wonders of the human spirit, the soul, your soulfulness, are to be accessed here. Allow your mind to imagine that your breastplate is comprised of a pair of sliding doors, which are even now sliding apart from each other to reveal what you might want to see as a cluster of precious jewels, rubies and garnets and amethysts and so on, and amber, you know, all the flame and love colours, emitting a very beautiful fine fragrance that's something unworldly and absolutely uplifting for your spirit, and irradiating a deep, rich rose gold, quite thick light that expands out from you without limit in every single direction, including behind you, above you, and below you. And within this, excuse me, I just dropped something. Within this rose gold light, I'm waving my arms around, and within this rose gold light are very subtle tendrils that connect you to all other sentient beings, all other nexuses of consciousness and energy throughout time and space, the tendrils of love. And likewise, everyone in our circle, for example, has got the same thing going on, radiating their love, this rose gold sweet fragrance light via these subtle tendrils that it carries. So be receptive to that as well. Allow yourself to receive the beautiful love of everyone via the tendrils coming back in your way. And this isn't just for our circle. This extends the next circle out to everyone here knows, and the next circle out to everyone they know, and exponentially growing until all 7+ billion people on this planet are covered for a start. And even then further out from this planet to all sentient beings everywhere. And of course on this planet to all the dogs and cats and animals and all living beings, the plants, the trees, the flowers, everything, maybe even the earth itself. And all the way out to all the planets of the solar system, to the sun, to the source of our local light, and on and on and on, without limit. So that you're right now, as you breathe in, you breathe out, you're inducting and conducting this rose gold light, this love, this rich energy, this love that binds us all through the tendrils. And through this we are connected to the continuum. Now, in front of you, now that you've opened up, just behind you there is your destiny. In front of you, behind you is your ancestry. In front of you is, in a manner of speaking, your destiny. Of course, destiny is around you. It happens in concentric circles rather, or as well as in a straight line. on different dimensions, but the idea that in front of you is what hasn't happened yet, i.e. destiny is in front of you. And the ancestors behind you, between them, somehow comprise what the Taoists call the guardian, which is this massive protective entity that sits all around you, and somehow works like a shell around your background presence at the back. It holds you safe and steady forever and ever. And in front of you, you have destiny. Allow destiny to come into you and sit inside you like the destiny angel. So that now destiny, actually the force of destiny, sits within you. You are no longer at the mercy of destiny. You now are destiny, and it awaits your direction. It awaits your intention to be set, and then it manifests this for you. This is very powerful the way Taoist magic we're doing here. So bear this in mind, that it's now with the angel of destiny inside you that you proceed, awaiting your intention. But before we can do that, it's important that we cleanse the field. For which purposes? If only just for pure visualization reasons, picture sitting in front of you, floating in the air, a little bit above you and in front of you, a wonderful being, a holy being, evident in another dimension yet somehow visible to you, glowing golden, rather like a Buddha, and it happens to be you. This is maybe the big version of the little one inside the back of the skull there. Size is all relative after all. And it's sitting as if in lotus on a lotus flower, hovering in front of you, still above, and it's smiling at you. I say it because I can't say she, he, or whatever all the time. It's smiling at you with the most amazing radiance that is impossible to resist, and you're melting. As in all your fears, prejudices, and complexes, and insecurities, and lack of self-worth, and aspects that would have you not received the blessing because you're not worthy of it, melt and dissolve in the smile, the beautiful, compassionate smile, this advanced, evolved, perfected, the dimensional version of you, this you, the holy being you. And as you accept this dynamic between you and the holy being version of you, you in the receptive position here, about to receive, the holy being lights up in the most vivid, almost blinding, but in a way very soothing, violet light. It's different from UV light. It's not harsh like UV light. It's much more subtle because it has gold in it. It has flecks of emerald in it. It has flecks of azure in it. A million. It has really all the colours of the rainbow, including white, gold. But it's coming across as violet. That's its overall effect, and it's like a balm. It's surrounding the holy being profusely, and suffusing the holy being. And the holy being is now raising its hands in a kind of blessing gesture, and transmitting a dual stream of this violet light, a concentrated form, directly into your heart. So it's like a stereo beam that arrives as one in your heart, goes right through the opening in the breastplate area and into your heart. And you can feel it like a shower, really, or like a jet wash. And it's quite powerful and very beautiful. You surrender to it. And you feel it cleanse by a quantum leap all the dross that has accumulated in the filter, the air filters around your heart, so to speak, the pericardium entity. Cleansed in one bang, all gone, all the pain, all the grief, all the resentment, all the poison from others, from yourself, from everything, all the cruelty, everything, the hatred, everything that is not part of your divine absolute beauty is in one go cleansed, gone. And now the being is, noticed, is moving its hands slightly up and down, and it's directing the violet ray up into your throat, where your throat is being cleansed of, in one go, of all blocked communication, all communication that got stuck in your throat, anything that's got stuck in your throat in your interactions with others over your lifetime. One go, bang, gone, cleansed. And it's moving right up into the front of your brain now, to the forehead, and in one go cleansing your forehead, your forebrain, of all the toxic poison from your thoughts, the negative thoughts, the self-deprecating thought, the self-diminishing thoughts, the resentment thoughts towards others, all the thoughts that you ever had in your whole life, that the residue of which has somehow got stuck like a kind of a resinous dust to the neurons, so to speak, of your forebrain, it cleansed in one go. It's like totally clean. And now the being is moving, the hands and the rays are moving down through into your solar plexus area. The area when you accept information, you accept yourself. You're always in conflict because it's always hard to accept everything straight away. This was just, and it's cleansing you all the stress, all residue of stress that's accumulated in the solar plexus area. That's a lot. Let it do that for a while. Feel that violet ray coming into you, and it's powerful. It's coming in through the heart, through the center of the chest, and wishing down behind your skin into the whole solar plexus area, the abdominal area. And it's cleansing your liver even, and your stomach and your spleen. Even the organs are being cleansed, even the kidneys behind them. And it's moving the rays down even further. They're coming in through the center of your chest, and they're moving down behind your skin, now behind your belly button, which is the center of will. So wherever you felt your will flagging, wherever you've been feeling stymied or defeated, all washed away, back on. The violet rays washed it, and then down behind pubic bone, where all sexual shame and confusion and guilt and disgust and all the other negative emotions that stop being as you're meant to be, a sexually healthy being, which then translates into being healthy throughout your being. Washed away, bang, gone. So there's absolute purity there. Now the entirety of the front of your body is cleansed. It's cleansed in one go. You don't have to check in to see if it's working. It doesn't matter. The effect of this usually takes 24 hours subsequent to the session anyway. However, it's working. And your whole front is cleansed with the violet ray. It's now directing its hand slightly differently to cast the ray down onto the floor of your world, your perception of your world as you're imagining it right now. So if you see your world spread out in front of you, with the beautiful being hovering slightly above it all in front of you, I'm smiling still all the while, and you look at the world as you imagine it. You've got the work coming up, you've got the projects, you've got challenges, you've got the conscious time people to sort out, you've got the things you want to say happen, the people you're excited about talking to, you've got things to look forward to, things to thread, all of the stuff, all of it, and all the resource aspect, the money, the connections, the opportunities, everything you need. Think about, frightened you won't have, or feel that you haven't got, or feel that you've got too much of, whatever it is, all out there, spread out in front of you, like a vast vignette. And the whole being is now beaming the violet ray down into the center of that whole picture, and it's so powerful that it's spreading instantaneously everywhere, ubiquitously throughout the picture, throughout the vignette. So throughout your interpretation of your life at this point in time, your entire field with the material plane, the connection is cleansing on go. The field that you actually exist in, that goes beyond that illusion, this interconnective web of tendrils that is carried in the rose gold love light, this continuum, the level of the continuum where you are sitting in your back as the background presence, as are we all, this field that surrounds you is really as far as your imagination will allow you to see. It's limitless, and the holy being is now shining, directing the violet ray into the field, so that the entire field at the deepest level is being cleansed in one quantum leap throughout infinity, so that your connection with absolutely all other sentient beings and your connection with source of all sentient beings is now absolutely and utterly cleansed and reset, as does everyone here. And in this state, we are now able to receive the full blessing of the belonging into the continuum. So as you breathe in and out with your heart open, aware that the rose gold light is spread throughout the field, carrying tendrils which conduct the love to and fro, with the being sitting above you in the air, directing the streams of violet ray into the field, cleansing everything. You're aware that the tendrils are spontaneously lighting up, pulsating, and the velocity, intensity of the current in both directions, going up and coming down, the connection between you and everyone else is intensifying, increasing exponentially right now as you breathe in and breathe out. It's not a personality thing, it's transpersonal. So it's not about being nice to anyone or being scared of anyone. It's not about that. It's cut straight through to the background presence of everyone. This is the Tao. We're all connecting with it, in it, and it, one with it, and with each other as we breathe in and out. And from the back of you, now with supreme power, and with the company of all of us and witness for each other, formulate your intention now for what you want these next, shall we say, 7 days. Let's not make it too onerous. The next 7 days, between now and the next satsang, how would you like these 7 days to transpire? What tone would you like them to have? What kind of coloration, saturation would you like them to have? What sort of temperature would you like the 7 days to have? I don't mean climatic, internal temperature. What sort of quality would you like the 7 days to be redolent with? As in, joyfulness, lightness of spirit, fun, depth, beauty, honor, whatever it is. What qualities would you like to sit imbued with? And what mode would you like to be experiencing it in? Lightheartedly, easily, relaxed, with wisdom, perspective, centers, and all the rest of it, for example. And what sort of outcome would you like? And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean specify getting that parking place thing. I'm talking about, for example, with the angel of destiny now inside of you, you can direct it to whatever to make it happen, whatever you want. Perhaps, I don't put ideas in your mind, but perhaps that everything proceeds with utmost supreme elegance, including all the abundance, all the connection, all the opportunity, all the company, all the resources required. That everything proceeds with utmost and supreme elegance, beyond my imagination to conceive of even. And that results in all kinds of wonderful things happening and big things happening. But we're not doing it for the things, because they're just things. We're doing it for that state, because that brings the things. So let's stay with the attention, stay with the intention, clarify it. If you say it to yourself, say it to yourself. If you need to see it as a picture, see it as a picture. Both is good. And when you're done with that, just simply, I accept it. There's no drama in that. There's no mumbo jumbo in it. Just simply, I accept it. And now, to make this magic work, we must share it with all our fellows. So, for this purpose, see us now, all of us, each of us, comprising a large circle of archangels, must now be archangels, surrounding the planet Earth out in the ether, not even in space, in the ether, the space within the space, all around the planet, quite far out, so we can see the whole thing from where we each hover. And imagine us holding hands with the right palm facing down and the left palm facing up. Lots of us here, all the way around the planet, there's a lot of us. You are breathing in through the palm of the left hand, up your left arm into your heart, breathing out from your heart down your right arm and out through your right palm into the left hand of the person to your right, even though you can't see who they are. And remember, we're not people now, we are beings. And this is causing a spin of energy around the circle between us, which is going all the way around the world. This is setting up the parameters of the operation. Now, remember that we have a holy being sitting in front of us. A little bit like everybody has their own private TV suspended from all of the above, but this is much nicer than TV. We've each got our own holy being sitting in front of us and a little bit above, facing out of circle. We're facing into circle. It's like a holy formation. And each of our holy beings is splashing out violet ray down into our hearts. And in the midst of the holy beings, there is just one being. And that one being has just got one head with an infinite number of faces on it in every direction. That's the Tao. And the violet rays being transmitted to each of us so powerfully that, and we've used what we need it anyway now, it just simply has to come out through us. So if you can even visualize or actually raise your palms like the holy being is doing towards you, down as if angling towards the planet, and imagine we're all doing that, and we're each streaming violet ray, the overflow of the violet ray, onto the planet's surface, because we're now archangel, we're really good at it, and it's very powerful. It goes with a massive jet, splashes down on the surface of the planet, and just goes everywhere all at once. And the whole planet, its atmosphere now, is suffused through and through with the violet ray. And what that's doing, even though nobody knows it's going on, it's cleansing everybody at a subtle level of all the same things we cleanse ourselves from. It's especially doing so with the people who need a lot of cleansing at the moment. And in cleansing, it's also then making available to everybody the joy of the possibility of everything progressing with immense elegance for everyone, not just us. And the result of that being more sense of continuum and connectedness to the continuum for everybody, therefore less a tendency to want to divide and conquer, destroy, dominate, and plunder, and all the other stuff that people are inclined to do. Instead, to go back to being the beautiful kind, not even go back, go forwards, in fact, go inwards, go outwards, whatever, to being the beautiful, beautiful beings that we really are. All of us at the root. Let's just celebrate and promote this with our intention. And in your own time, this is the time now to bring yourself into the next phase of your earthbound adventure by opening your eyes, wriggling your fingers and toes, moving around with your skin a little bit to get the circulation going, and think up a good question or comment, because I'm really in the mood for a few of those. Over to Sue.
Hello, I will start with a question from Janet. And Stephen, I'm paraphrasing this slightly because I couldn't make sense of the question how Janet had phrased it, so I hope this is going to reflect what you wanted to say,
Yeah.
Janet. Janet said, how can we avoid overwhelming nostalgia for people, things and situations we've loved that are now not present, when it's unlikely we'll know them again in this lifetime?
Ah, well, a lovely poignant question, bless you. Well, that's grief, isn't it, really? You know, it comes when the lung energy's a bit flat, which happens at this time of year anyway. We do tend to go into that nostalgic space. Well, we mustn't avoid it. We must welcome it and love it. But by being in your back and accommodating the experience of nostalgia from the back of you, you are no longer in the nostalgia. It's no longer you being nostalgic. If there is nostalgia and you're from the back, you're able to observe with curiosity and go, oh look, there I am being nostalgic. No, you don't have to change it. Love it. It's all just a play of light and emotion. It doesn't need to be avoided. It needs to be welcomed because it's feeding you. Let it feed you that way rather than getting digestion from it. So be in the back and love that nostalgia. That also is the Buddha in disguise. As soon as you've acknowledged it, it will pass. I take Mullen tea because it's very good for the lungs.
Okay, this next one is from Kathy, who says, thank you for a lovely time at the retreat in Urbino last month. I'm feeling slightly obsessed about selling our house in France. I'd like to feel acceptance that everything is as it should be and will all happen when the time is right.
Well, I would imagine that the first place would be to acknowledge that the tension you're feeling about it is something you're generating because this level of tension makes you feel alive. And not to criticize yourself, that will change it, honor it. This is how I roll right now. This is how I roll. I get tension in my belly like this about, it could be about selling a house. I guarantee if it wasn't that, you'd find something else to do about at the moment. Because it needs doing right now. This is what makes you feel alive. Soon you acknowledge that the feeling dissipates anyway. Secondly, to know that your house is going to sell. There is somebody out looking for it even now. What you seek seeks you also. So you seeking a buyer, there's also a buyer seeking you. This is all destined and will happen in its own time. And the more you relax about it and trust, the faster it will all happen. So it's a matter of acknowledging that every time you feel tense, you're doing that because it makes you feel alive. Visualize yourself holding the key. No, not the keys. You want to be holding money, don't you? They're holding the keys. Yeah, imagine that, like a silly sort of ritual where you give them the keys, they give you the cash or house. I know it's not going to be that way, but imagine it that way anyway. And walking away with it in a suitcase, smiling and whistling to yourself. Or something like that, that kind of a childlike image. And just keep seeing that very quickly a lot throughout the day. Don't spend time about it. Don't believe it. Just see it. Just picture it. That's what you have to do. And you'll find that this house will sell very quickly. By March, I think, 17 latest, it will all be done, tied up, and you'll have money.
All right, we're going to try and unmute Mark for you now, Stephen, who has a question. Hi, Mark.
Yeah.
Great.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Hey, Mark.
Okay. Hi,
I hear you
Doc.
loud and
Yeah,
clear. I hear you louder than I hear myself. Yeah, nice to speak to you.
Okay, yeah, you too. Now, my question is this. My new girlfriend is tiring out in a really lovely way, and I'm just wondering, is there any specific Taoist practice that has got Viagra-like effects?
Yeah, there is actually. Well, I mean, look, there's a book I wrote called Handbook for Modern Lovers, which I would really highly advise because it is, it's got all the tricks in it of how to do all that. But for now, there's a certain kind of little protocol you could go through. One of the most important, you might do this already, but if you know the perineum, which is a muscle right between your legs behind the testicles, the center of the pelvic floor. Without using tension. It's not done in a crude way, it's done quite subtly, like flicking very lightly. You contract and release it at this tempo, contract, release, contract, release, contract, release, contract, release. Like you flick it with you flick the muscle rather than tighten it up too much. And you do 81 at a time, counting if you bothered. And if you can't count because you're doing other things at the time, it's just like do it all day long, it's not just on your bed. You do it for about 3 days, and all the time that you can think of. So you're constantly twitching, you're flicking your perineum. You'll find that in itself will give you a good 30% more vigor and staying power. The other thing to do is to breathe in up the insides of your legs, into your groin and into the ends of the penis, then breathe out from there down the outsides of the legs and into the feet again. As if drawing the breath up the insides of the legs into the genitals and then breathing out down the outsides of the legs again. If you do that 9 times, at least once a day, you'll find that it does take about 3 days, your general sexiness and that whole way of being will increase. There are herbs you can take. One of the best is catuaba. It's a rainforest bark from Brazil. C-A-T-U-A-B-A, catuaba. You need to take for a few days for it to build up. Great stuff because it strengthens the kidneys as well, which is where the sex drive comes from. But the main thing is during making love to breathe slowly. Even when it would be instinctual to pant and breathe quickly, instead, breathe slowly and in a measured way. You'll be amazed at what a difference that makes. Because not only does it kind of hold you there in the meditative state much longer, potentially, it also stops you draining your energy off, like wasting your energy. The kind of panting thing is when we're losing energy. That's when you lose the chi, is from all of that. So it's keeping it totally under command. Constantly. It doesn't mean being cold or weird or distant or clinical. Quite the contrary. You keep the heart open, so you're totally loving, beautiful, and sharing, really. But you're absolutely in command of your pace, which is dictated by the breathing. So all in all, this would be the 3 techniques. The flicking of
Stephen, we've lost your sound. Hi Stephen, can you hear me? We've lost your sound. Don't know whether you've hit a button or something. Mark, could you say something? Because I think I've lost the connection between the pair of you. Yep, I'm not hearing either of you. Mark, I hope that answered your question okay. I'm going to mute you again now in the hope that we can get Doc sound back again. So sorry for the abrupt cut off there. Okay.
That's the one.